I want to welcome you to ICANN's 49th public meeting in this amazing city. I want to start by acknowledging two very special people who are with us today. Dr. Jacob Ibrahim, Singapore's Minister of Communications and Information. And Mr. Leong Ken Tai, Deputy Chief Executive and Director General of Infocom Development Authority of Singapore, or IDA, and Chairman of SGNIC. We'll hear more from these gentlemen in a few minutes. First, I need to tell you that being here in this room gives me a sense of deja vu.
The Board authorises the President and CEO to implement the new GTLD program. All those in favour of authorising the CEO to implement the new GTLD program, please raise your hands. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Carried.
This was the formal approval by the Board of Directors of ICANN just under 3 years ago in June 2011 here of the new top-level domain, generic top-level domain program. Let me ask, I don't know if I can see through these lights, but how many of you were here then? A lot of hands. And you're still come back. This is very good news. That was a big day for us. It was the culmination of an enormous amount of work. The board's action was really the smallest, almost infinitesimal part of the whole process. An awful lot of work went into this. Let me ask for another video.
With your appointment as the new chair and with the historic passage of the new GTLDs, what sort of new challenges lie ahead for you?
This is a very big operation, and so I'm now in the uncomfortable position of trying to sit astride and hang on for dear life, as it were. The challenge, the real challenge, is for the organization as a whole to execute on moving this GTLD program forward, as well as carrying on the regular day-to-day business that it's already has to do, and the affirmation and commitment. So there's a kind of a triple there. And there will be both resource and execution challenges for the well-defined parts of the program, and there will be unanticipated problems or oddball cases or loose ends that have to be dealt with. And so there'll be a certain amount of refinement that will be posed to us while we're trying to get on with the main work.
I'm hearing you say that the board's work with new GTLDs is not finished.
I don't want to make too big a deal of it, but there's always something that's going to come up, and we're not going to go to sleep and say, we're done, it's all over with. I imagine we're going to be pretty embroiled on a continuing basis.
Yeah, loose ends indeed. Turns out I was being overly cautious. The rollout was absolutely smooth, no problem whatsoever. We had to increase our vocabulary a little bit, and in one case we actually found a word that was not an acronym. It's a glitch. For entertainment, we created a new sport called digital archery, which we abandoned after we learned that all the arrows were coming right into the board and the staff. In the end, the program rolled out. We now have almost 200 names already delegated into the route, and more coming on a very regular basis. And it marked a historic change, which we're all aware of. But that historic change wasn't just, as I was suggesting earlier, due to the board. It really was a very broad community action. And so let me ask that you give yourselves a hand for the enormous activity and energy and success of that program. While we're doing great things, we also have an inescapable and abiding commitment to operate in the highest fashion that we can. We take accountability and transparency extremely seriously. And so in that vein, I want to commend the work of the second Accountability Transparency Review team led by Brian Cute. His report, the report of his team, was turned in last December, and in accordance with the rules that we set up for these reviews, we are now in the 6-month period of examining the recommendations very closely, trying to understand what the impact would be, so that when we say yes, which I fully expect we will do, either wholly or in the main, we will know exactly what we have said yes to and exactly how to proceed with the implementation. So we're in the process of formulating a response to the team's report, and we'll say more about this in a session on Wednesday morning, which I invite you all to come to, but I invite you with a certain conflict of interest, because exactly parallel to that is a session on my long-standing interest and support for DNS security. So divide yourselves in two, and half of you go to that, to one and the other. Later this afternoon, there will be a session that is focused on the slightly broader topic of the affirmation of commitments in general, and which is all the more important in the context that has now been set with the historic announcement by Secretary Strickling a week ago about the transition of the stewardship of the technical functions of the IANA function. It's been a long-time goal of the U.S. government, as well as the rest of the community, that's now been realized because of ICANN's successful globalization and our collaborations with our partners in the Internet ecosystem. And this is something that needs to be emphasized at every opportunity. ICANN, as visible as we have become, and I've learned the hard way that there's no way that we're going to be able to lessen that visibility, remains but one player in a complex and well-established ecosystem. So I want to acknowledge the leaders of the other members of the ecosystem. We have the leaders of the regional internet registries, Adil Aklogan, CEO of Afrinic, John Kern, President and CEO of ARIN, Raul Echeverria, CEO of LACNIC, Axel Pollock, Managing Director of Right NCC, and Paul Wilson, CEO of APNIC. Those are the regional internet registries. Thank you, but there's more. Hold the applause. On the highly technical side of creating the technology that is the underpinnings of everything here, Russ Housley, Chair of Internet Architecture Board, Yari Arko, Chair, Internet Engineering Task Force, and all important, our friends, partners, and soulmates at the Internet Society, Catherine Brown, President and CEO, Bob Hendon, my counterpart, Board of Trustees, Chair, Internet Society. Where'd he go? All right. Well, even though I don't see him here, we're on good terms, actually. I don't think he's going to. We know how to reach each other. Now, referring again to the historic announcement of MTI, let me acknowledge the presence of Larry Strickling, Assistant Secretary for Communications and Information at the U.S. Department of Commerce. Larry, thank you very much.